Welcome to this Wednesday edition of the 21st. I'm Nyla Boodoo. With no budget in place, the state of Illinois is hundreds of days and millions of dollars delinquent in payments. Among those not getting paid for the past year, health care providers who serve millions of state employees. Memorial Health System is one of the biggest medical centers downstate. According to the Better Government Association, it's owed more than $80 million. The BGA also reports that Illinois dentists are owed more than $100 million by the state. We're going to be speaking with the investigator who wrote that report in a few minutes. We've seen some healthcare providers say they can't make it. In Champaign and Paxton, one dental practice shut its doors in April. It blamed the state's delinquencies. And many patients are having to pay upfront for their care and then wait months for the state to reimburse them. Later, we're going to be taking your questions about having to make those upfront payments. If you want to share your stories of how much you're paying, if you have comments about that, if you have questions that our personal finance experts can answer, we're here for you. You can give us a call, 1-800-222-9455. That's 1-800-222-9455, or you can tweet to 21st Show. Let's start with Champaign dentist Benjamin Scott. He's been practicing for years and says he's still committed to serving his patients, even though the last payment he got from the state was in August of 2015. The majority of Dr. Scott's patients are state workers. Hey, Dr. Scott, welcome to the 21st.
Well, thank you.
How much is your practice owed right now because of the state budget mess?
I don't have an exact figure, but I think it lies somewhere between $250,000 and $300,000.
Wow. And so how much has that affected you? I know you were actually an in-network provider for state employees. Does that make it harder, or is that easier for you?
Well, it makes it harder when you're in network because of contract responsibilities. We have been unable to be paid any monies for services since the budget didn't pass. So as it works out with the University of Illinois, they have the best dental insurance I've ever seen. They happen to have the advantage if they find a network dentist where for most services it's 100% coverage, less than deductible for the year, and they also have a high maximum benefit range. So it's a great thing for patients, and it would be a great thing if the state were paying its bills. However, what it does to the dentists that are in network is it's put us in a real bind with accounts receivables running out of control, and basically putting the business in the red for a long period of time while we wait to be paid for the work that we've done.
So you haven't been paid since last May. When was the last time you remember getting a payment from the state?
I think the last time we got paid was, I want to say it was either July or August of last year, just because it takes about 90 days from when the claims are posted for it to be done. So we kind of fell into that category. Now the state has come through with some interesting things for dentists recently, where all of a sudden they found some money and they paid some of the August claims have been paid.
August of 2015 claims.
Of 2015.
Okay.
But still, we do have this, almost 12-month time period of no payment.
Right. And because you're in network, you can't ask your patients to pay up front, right?
That's correct. That's one of the things about the contract that Delta Dental has in place. They say if you want to have the benefit of the network and utilizing their website where patients can find you, you need to provide patients the benefits that they know they can come to a dentist office and not have to pay. It's what's happened here with the state of Illinois and Delta Dental is unprecedented. I've had many conversations with Delta Dental about it and saying, you guys have to do something for us. We do understand for a period of time, but when you're getting into a year and you're getting into hundreds of thousands of dollars, So Delta Dental understood and basically said, in their 100 or whatever it was, 150-year history, they've never, ever had this happen. And so there's talks of possibly altering the contract for, very unusual circumstances like this has been. But you're correct. People, dentists that have chosen to be in network cannot get paid by patients at this point.
Dr. Scott, what percentage of your patients are state employees and in this bind?
My best estimation is it's about 70%. My practice is right in the heart of Champaign, probably only 1 to 2 miles from campus area. So I'm kind of a high traffic place for the university. So it is definitely been quite a stress.
Well, and I wonder how are you getting by while you're owed all of this money? Because you said, I mean, it's an unprecedented thing for the health for Delta Dental, but it's an unprecedented thing for you, and you're not just a dentist but a small business owner.
Well, it's definitely been something where I've had to scramble. I've had to. It's kind of a strange situation for me in that my dental practice is doing well. It's been a established practice for a number of years. But when you look at, of course, the bank statement, it appears as one that's just starting out. What I had to do was go to the banks that have equipment loans for me and practice loans, and basically just ask them, is there any possible way to pay interest only during this period? They were good enough to help me in that way, and that's kept me afloat. What a lot of folks have been forced to do is get out of network, where you can ask the patients for payment. And I was out of network even as much as 2 years ago, where I had the patients pay up front. But what I was noticing is with the economy in the area, dentistry was not something that folks had a lot of extra money around to pay for. So treatment was being delayed and being done. Cleanings were being spread out, so on. So I could see that there was this giant need out there, but there really wasn't a means to pay for it. And I think I would be bummed out too if I had insurance, but I had to pay 100% of it, and then wait for the state to pay me 18 months later. I might hesitate on doing some stuff too.
Right. So you made the business decision to go in network. And so now with all of this debt, is there any, it's not debt, it's money that's owed to you. Is there any ability for you to manage that in terms of, do you think there's any possible recourse for you? You said you've gone to Delta Dental. Obviously, we don't know when the state will be making these payments. So is there anything else you're looking into?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of different things, and I'm sure everyone else has too, about the state budget. You hear rumors it won't be till November, till the next election cycle. You hear rumors maybe not even during the entire 4-year term of Governor Rauner. It's so unpredictable. Fortunately, a company has emerged named Healthcare Finance, and they have made an agreement with Delta Dental to buy the accounts receivables for the dentists. One of the things that happens when the state is behind in payments, they owe by law 9% interest on everything. Which of course, is another thing that blows my mind when the state is already struggling with the budget in deficit. Why in the world they would allow all this 9% interest all
right,
over.
As a taxpayer, it must kind of drive you crazy, right? The state's
yeah,
already.
It's like, well, eventually, when they have to pay for all this, they're going to have to do something.
And they're going to have to, and they're paying a 9% interest rate on top of that for debt that hasn't been, for debt or for money that's been owed for the past year.
Yeah, and we all know there's nowhere right now that you can earn 9% interest, stock market or anywhere. So it's kind of a very vexing thing for me to think about. But yeah. Anyway, this company, it has agreed to come in and pay about 90% of the receivables, as long as the dental professionals. I think they may also be doing this with some of the medical hospitals. as long as the person is willing to give up that 9% interest. So it's a give and take. Someone like me who's waited a year, that interest would have been nice to cover some of the terrible things I've gone through. But at the same time, I personally can't wait any longer.
Right.
So
You just rather just take the money.
Advantage of that option.
Dr. Scott, what happens for you and what do you think will happen for your patients if there isn't a budget next week? And as you've said, maybe if we go through the summer, maybe even November. Have you thought about that?
Yeah, that's pretty much why I've chosen the healthcare finance route for my practice, because having been out of network, I realize how valuable this has been for my patients. And I go to work every day feeling very good that I'm able to offer this to the patients. So I didn't want to drop out. So that's the direction that I'm moving regardless, because I feel like there's a potential that this could happen again next year and the following year, and this way I'm covered. It's definitely not as ideal as, having direct payment from the state, but it's something that I think moving forward, that's how my practice will operate. It's just it's a known bum deal for so many people, and I know dentistry is just one small piece of what so many businesses are going through. And, I'm glad to know that some certain businesses and certain companies are making strides to try to keep Illinois afloat. And, I don't know, hopefully somebody that has the ability to do something in the state can hear this broadcast, and maybe that will persuade them to move forward.
Dr. Ben Scott has a dental practice in Champaign. Dr. Scott, thanks so much for taking time to speak with us.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
As Dr. Scott said, dentistry is just one small piece of this, and it's not just state workers in Champaign. I want to correct something I said earlier. There's 60,000 state workers across Illinois. Casey Toner is an investigative reporter with the Better Government Association. BGA's Rescuing Illinois project is what they call in-depth reports about improving and reforming state government. He's been reporting on the types of vendors and service providers who were owed $3 billion by the state. That's utilities in Springfield to drug treatment centers to services that help keep seniors in their home. He joins us now from BJ's offices in Chicago. Hi, Casey. Welcome to the 21st.
Thank you for having me.
Casey, Dr. Scott was just one dentist. You've been reporting how much the state owes dentists overall. How much does the state owe? How much is the bill just for dentists?
The bill for dentists, I believe it is $125 million, and 90% of that is owed to Illinois dentists. But there's about 17,000 dentists nationwide that kind of take care of, Illinois retirees and so on and so forth.
And I wanted to go through some of the other bills. When we think about Memorial Health System, your reporting showed that they're owed more than $80 million. Do you think that's typical for large hospital systems?
Yeah, they're one where it's like a conglomeration of many hospitals, so they're really hitting it kind of all together. But from what I understand, most hospitals in Illinois are just kind of hemorrhaging money right now.
And I know the interest rates are varying. Dr. Scott said, just to be clear for everybody, I know healthcare providers have a 9% interest rate that they're owed for that. So I just want to make clear, the state is also not just owes the money, but then is going to be paying interest on all of this money that's being owed to people?
Yeah, basically what I think is very important is the bond rating, because I think that is something that will, the bond and the yield for the bond, I think is something that will really kind of crush Illinois finances for years to come. In the state of Illinois right now, the yield rate is, investors are demanding about 3.4%. That's about 1.4% higher than states with good debt. And that's something that's just going to continue to nail us until we get a budget situation worked out.
Right. So we've got one of the worst, if not the worst, bond rating in the country, and it's an interesting thing, right, Casey? Because I think we tend to think of the bond rating has to do with the pension and how much we owe on that, but now we're adding all of these other bills on top of that, and then the interest rates on top of that, and that's what the rating agencies are also looking at, right?
Right.
Yeah. Now, I know Bloomberg this morning called last year Illinois' lost year and said it's about to be lost 2 years. I mean, what is your sense of, you think, what the damages are to the state, not just monetary, but also non-monetary?
Well, I think that there's a lot of businesses in the state of Illinois, and I reported this out in my story, that are unwilling to do business because they just don't know when that money's coming in. So unless that money is guaranteed to them through Medicare or through some court order or something like that, they're just unwilling to take it. I spoke to some people that do televisual work down in Springfield, and they said that there was a contract with the Department of Human Services that they would have bid on a few years ago, worth about $35,000, but they're just not doing it because they can't do the work and just not get paid. It just, it'll sink them. So I think there's a lot of people that right now
they're just waiting to be paid.
Business.
Casey, we're going to take a break. If you can stick around, I'll catch up with you in just a minute. That's Casey Toner from the BGA. You're listening to the 21st.
The 21st is made possible by the Friends of WILL and by the Library at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, generating new knowledge and developing and evaluating new technologies and methodologies to better distribute scholarly knowledge. The University Library at Illinois.